Anderson brings up a very good perspective.
Lots of teenagers now don't drink at all. So you might say, well, that's a good thing because alcohol, all things considered, is problematic. But if you're not partying because you have no friends and you're in your basement miserable and depressed, that's not an improvement. Look, there's actually a literature on this. There's kids who never break any rules, and there's kids who break them all the time on the other end. And then there's the kids in the middle who experiment with rule breaking in adolescence. Well, the ones who never break rules are at much higher risk for depression, anxiety, and dependent personality disorder later in life. They're too inhibited. And the ones who break rules all the time, well, they end up in prison. There were kids in my high school, for example, who never drank. They were good kids, but they weren't good. They were just cowards. That wasn't helpful. Now, my friends, my delinquent friends in junior high and high school, a lot of them became alcoholics. So their lack of cowardice on the exploration front also caused them a tremendous amount of misery.
That's so true. You can't be too far right or far left. You have to be in the center. A little bit of drinking, a little bit of fun, but don't go too... You gotta learn when to put the brakes on, yeah? Maybe a beer or two, a drink or two, and then go home. You're done. You don't have to pound every night. That's just a drinking example. I'm talking about everything else. It could be health, wealth, or relationship. You don't need a lot of money. You don't need a lot of love. You don't need a lot of big muscles and so on and so forth. You have to know when to put the brakes on. I hope this helps. Leave your comments below.
Do you want to know one thing that women are obsessed with when it comes to men? One thing. Even if they don't vocalize it, they're going to be drawn to you. Well, listen to my words. A woman is obsessed with a man that knows his worth. A man that does not beg. And when I say beg, I'm saying for attention, communication, affection, consistency. He ain't begging. He knows his worth. That energy drives a woman crazy because they know they can't play games. They have to stay straight. They have to be on the course of giving consistent energy because if they don't, they know you will leave. A woman that knows that she's with a man that really values himself and will walk away if he's not getting what he needs keeps her in line, and it is attractive to her because she knows that she's a choice. She has to stay in line, and she is addicted to that confidence and to those amazing standards that you have.
This is exactly what separates guys who are secure and guys who are insecure. See, what you might not realize is that anytime you feel like you need to beg a woman to stay in a relationship with you, that means that you have an insecure attachment style called anxious attachment. And when you have an anxious attachment, that means that you overvalue your relationship and you undervalue yourself. You have to develop that internal security. And that means having the willingness to walk away. Now, that doesn't mean that walking away is always the solution, but you have to have standards for yourself because no one is going to do that for you. So remember, in life, and especially in relationships, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you tolerate.
Become the man she can't stop thinking about, not by chasing her, not by performing, not by becoming whatever she wants in the moment, by becoming so solid in yourself that her nervous system feels safe and curious around you. Most guys try to be interesting. The ones she obsesses over are just deeply themselves, calm, consistent, slightly unreachable, without being cold clear about what they want and what they won't accept. She doesn't obsess over the guy who's always available. She obsesses over the one whose presence feels like a rare frequency. Build that version of yourself first. The rest takes care of itself.
If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. On any other platform, double tap the screen to help spread the message. And leave a comment. I love a good thought-provoking conversation.
Healing begins when we stop trying to get back the person we thought we lost and start accepting the person who was finally revealed. Because once we see the truth clearly, the fog lifts, and in that quiet clarity, we are finally free to choose ourselves.
If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. On any other platform, double tap the screen to help spread the message. And leave a comment. I love a good thought-provoking conversation.
People who make you feel ordinary are not your people. The ones you have to go slow for, speak softly for, be so gentle with, because you know if they gazed upon the full weight of your brilliance, they would combust on the spot. You are not meant for these people, and that is okay, because you are meant for phoenixes, magical creatures endowed with superpowers and a higher calling, who know how to alchemize pain into deepest love, who span dimensions as easily as if they're swiping through tabs on a phone, who break cycles, centuries-long curses of toxicity and suffering, who enter the underworld and exit with wisdom they choose to bestow rather than hoard. How could a creature such as this, such as you, ever be meant for ordinary? And why would you want to be when you have all of this waiting for you, and all you have to do is say yes?
If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. On any other platform, double tap the screen to help spread the message. And leave a comment. I love a good thought-provoking conversation.
I hope this message inspire you and lift you up and put some oxygen in your heart and in your brain. Listen.
Be strong enough, clear enough, disciplined enough to handle the blessings you've asked for. If I told you that the delay is your advantage, would you believe me? Because it is. Without resistance, there is no growth. Without the valley, the mountaintop means nothing. Without the breaking, there can be no rebuilding. So embrace the test. Let it shape you. Let it strip away what no longer belongs. Let it burn off every excuse, every limitation, every ounce of fear. That's what the test is doing. Not punishing you, but purifying you. And here's the truth most won't accept. If you are being tested, it means you are close. The closer you are to the door of destiny, the more fiercely the winds will blow. That resistance is confirmation, not condemnation. It is life's way of saying, you are on the path. Keep going. Prove it, and prove it you must. Because you don't get what you wish for. You get what you are willing to become. And becoming is not easy. It is not convenient. It is not instant. Becoming is a painful, beautiful, transformative process. One that strips away comfort, ego, and illusion, and replaces them with clarity, discipline, and strength. But most people quit too soon. They interpret the test as a sign to turn back, and they abandon the dream right before the reward. Do not be one of them. Do not retreat when the trial begins. That is the exact moment to go deeper, to become relentless, because if the test is upon you, so is the turning point. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not cursed. You are being shaped. And shaping takes time. The oak does not grow in a day. The diamond is not formed without pressure. And the man of destiny is not born without trials. You, my friend, are being made into more. And every test is asking you one question. Do you still want it? If the answer is yes, then your actions must speak. You cannot just wish. You must work. You must train your mind to see tests, not as setbacks, but as steps forward. This is how the winners think. They see pain as preparation. They see failure as feedback. They see challenge as an invitation to rise. And that mindset alone makes them unstoppable. Because they do not fear the test, they expect it. And more than that, they welcome it.
Mind blowing.
The diamond takes years to be forged into something beautiful. So what's happening to you is a test. Do not give up. You're so close to opening that door and walking through that abundance and happiness and into sunshine. Keep on going. Don't give up. Life is beautiful. Love you guys. Leave your comments below. Nothing happens overnight. You gotta work at it.
Marriage was invented to control men's resources. You work, she spends. You stay bound, she can leave whenever she wants and take half of everything you built. Family courts side with her 90% of the time. Men lose custody, men lose money, men lose their future. The smartest men see this coming and never sign. A wise man stays disciplined, thinks long term, and builds his life around purpose, stoicism, and the Lord Jesus Christ, not contracts and emotional dependency.
I don't know if there's any truth to this statement, but I'm going to share it for those people that need it.
Believe it or not, if you grate some pieces of ginger and then add extra virgin olive oil, let it sit for 24 hours, and then strain it through a cloth strainer, it will make your hair grow like a horse's mane, even in places where you don't have any. It produces extreme hair growth and takes you from this to this. Save this recipe so you always have it available. Believe it or not, if you...
For those of you guys that decide to try ginger and olive oil, let it sit for 24 hours, put it in a cheesecloth, strain it, and put it in sprayer, and put it in your hair. If it works, report back to me. If it does, you have discovered the magic potion. Sell it for millions of dollars. Get back to me. Best of luck. A quick trick using clove water. I don't know if you can see it. This one doesn't have the little mushroom thing on top, but hold on a second. Clove water. Okay. Here's one. I don't know if you can see it. Okay. That's it. All right, listen to what this guy have to say.
Drink clove-soaked water for 14 consecutive days and get relief from 6 ailments. 1. Your lungs will be cleared of impurities. You will be able to breathe freely. 2. Stomach worm problems will be resolved. 3. Your skin's glow will increase. 4. It will help keep your liver healthy. 5. You will get deep sleep at night. And 6. Mental stress and tension will be eliminated. Drink clove-soaked water for 14 consecutive days and get relief.
That's a lot of benefits. Go to some of these spice stores and get some cloves and try it. Best of luck. Report back to me. Leave your comments below. I know cloves is really good for you.
Can't you name yourself the trustee?
You can't name yourself the trustee, but the settlor, the grantor, the creator of an irrevocable trust can. So imagine this.
Yeah, but who's making these trusts? Me.
In a traditional irrevocable trust, let's say you're the grantor or the settlor. You would appoint the trustee, the attorney. Well, again, that means I lose all control and I give it all to the attorney. What if we could flip-flop the roles? This is what's called an attorney-seated, non-grantor irrevocable trust. Mouthful, I know. What it means is I swap the roles. So what I do is I take you out of being the settlor, the grantor, the creator of the trust. And instead, guess who it is? The attorney. So I flip-flop you guys.
Okay.
So instead of the attorney being the manager, the attorney's the creator and you're the manager. See what we did? I flipped it. And when I did that, it took your name off of ownership because there is no owner. It's a non-grantor trust. The owner revoked himself before any assets are conveyed into it. And so now you have the complete management authority without the ownership. Own nothing, control everything. We just explained it in 30 seconds. That's insane.
That's what I want to do. Can't you name yourself?
The difference between a will and a trust. A will get used when you die, and a trust is something you can manipulate while you're still alive. I recommend everybody should get a trust, especially if you possess a lot or own a lot of assets. Dr. Peterson brings up a really good question. Listen, guys.
Can I ask you a little bit about the way that you constructed your own family and career pathway? Because I've been working with my wife trying to sketch out, she does a podcast on issues related to femininity. And we've been trying to sketch out, at least hypothetically, something like a appropriate timeline for young women, because they have no real guidance in that. And so here's a stat for you. We hit this milestone last year. Half of Western women 30 and under have no child. So it's a little more than half now. So we hit more than half. Half of them will never have a child. And 90% of them will regret it. That means we're setting up. This is a catastrophe. This is a catastrophe if it's true. And the data are pretty clear, I believe. This means we're setting up 1 woman in 4 for isolation. Right? And that gets increasingly brutal as you get older. And I also think we're setting up that 25% of women to be preyed upon in a manner like nothing we've ever seen when they enter their later years, because they'll have no one to keep an eye out for them, especially during times of vulnerability. This is not going to be good. So let me sketch out an idea for you in terms of a timeline and tell me what you think about that. I mean, 1 couple in 3 have fertility problems by the age of 30. And that's defined as not being able to conceive within a year of trying.
Right.
And so it seems pretty obvious. All assistive reproductive technology notwithstanding, which is very expensive and very unreliable and certainly not something to be depended on except in cases of absolute necessity. Having your children before you're 30 is a wise move if you want to ensure that it's going to happen. And so then the question is order. You know, we're best served probably as human beings to have our children in our 20s and probably our early 20s. And of course, that's going to be more demanding for women, more demanding and more of an opportunity, I would say, because each child really requires something approximating 3 years of pretty dedicated care. You know, the data seem to show that if your child is 3 and reasonably social, then social education, daycare, can work. Before that, especially with transformation of caregivers, it doesn't look like it's a very good idea. So you need 3 years per child, and maybe you want 2 children or 3 children, and so that's something like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years that you have to devote to it. Now, women live about 6 or 7 years longer than men. So that's kind of an interesting little twist on the whole situation. And if you started your career at 30, you could have 40 years of career, which is a lot. And that way, I would say, in some ways, you get to have your cake and eat it too, although perhaps not at the same time, you know, which we had talked about early. But there are no real guidelines developmentally for young women, and they don't know what to do, and they're increasingly not married, and they increasingly don't have children, and they're increasingly unhappy. And it doesn't look to me like slave to a corporation is necessarily a substitute for family life and children. Now, some people have a career, you have a career, some people have a career, most people have jobs. So anyways, I'm not saying that that's a hard and fast rule, but I don't really see any way around it. And here's another little twist that is worth adding. I think most people who are popular and attractive get 5 chances to establish a permanent relationship, and that's about it. Well, figure it's a year to kind of get to know someone.
Yeah.
And then assume that, you know, you're fortunate enough so that people are lining up, which is not that likely and probably not the position that most people are in.
Right.
And so maybe it's 2 years, including the failure, and 5 is a 10-year span. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to be overwhelmingly pessimistic, but I wouldn't say it gets easier as you get older, you get more different from other people. It isn't easier to establish a relationship when you're older, I wouldn't say.
And more
Plus,
people are snatched up.
Well, there's that. That's a big problem. You know, who's left? And the other issue I would say too that's germane is, why wouldn't you want to spend your young years with the person that you want to be with? You know, you're going to forestall that for what reason? You know, I got married to Tammy when I was 27, I think, and one of our regrets is that we didn't do that earlier. Now, there were reasons for that, and maybe they were valid, probably they weren't, but I'm not happy that that time was missed. It would have been better to have spent it together. So I'd like your thoughts on that. I mean, the timeline, just that general layout.
I mean, I think there's no problem in setting out those honest truths, which are your life will be happier if you have a partner and children. I just think that's just true. And people should be told that. And then they should be told the realities of fertility, because those are realities that, you know, can be potentially meddled with, but there's no guarantee. And if you're one of the people who cannot meddle with it and you missed your window, it will be a lifelong regret that will be unsolvable and will be like a deep source of pain, an ongoing deep source of pain. So it's not something that you could easily brush off. And so all those truths need to be shared while at the same time prizing and sharing the fullness of the rewards of motherhood with young women, which isn't done. That's the other piece of it. Like, if you listen to Jordan, if you listen to Ben, if you listen to, you know, the Daily Wire, you'll hear that. You won't hear motherhood, early motherhood, or any kind of motherhood generally bashed. You'll hear it praised. But in society still, in the movies, on the television shows that women watch, it's not. You still hear she's just a stay-at-home mom, you know, or she doesn't work. They still don't look at, you know, motherhood as something that's, you know, something valuable, like work as though it's a bad word. Motherhood is work too. It's great work. It's life-fulfilling work. But it still has this and women who I know all over New York, and now I'm in Connecticut, they say things like, it's very important to me that my daughter see me going to a business meeting. Like, mommy's got a business meeting, or going to the office if they have just like some small meeting. And I'm like, why? Why? Because they don't think the daughter will think that they're important if they don't have some sort of business pressing on them, which is absurd and # part of the problem, right? Like, no, we all need to be teaching young girls and boys that motherhood is enough. Like, being a mother is a completely valid, beautiful, awesome, really important choice. I actually went to my daughter's school and I said, I think it's fine you have career night. It's an all-girls school. And you bring in doctors and lawyers and journalists and whomever. You need to bring in a stay-at-home mom. You need to have somebody stand up there and tell the girls, I made a totally different choice. And so much the better if she's got a great education. And she can say, I have all the same skills you have. And I was on the exact same path as you were. And I loved learning and being introduced to the classics and being able to sit around a dinner table with so-called intellectuals and know the references. And I chose a totally different path when I graduated from those schools, because there was one thing that was most important to me. And let me tell you how that's rewarded me. The school did not do it. Okay. So, you know, we've got a counter program at home. So having said all that, I'll tell you my own personal experience, which doesn't really reflect that way of thinking or this recommended course at all. And yet still, I'm very, very happy. I'm a very contented person. Happy is a charged word, but I really am very happy with my life. I'm contented. I have a very, very strong marriage and extremely intact, loving, present, and meaningful relationships with my 3 kids. But I also have a very large career that's been hugely successful. Not to be self-aggrandizing, I'm just saying, like, on the scales of careers, mine has worked out very well. So in no way did I really sacrifice much in that lane. And I realize this puts me in the 0.00001% of people, and probably even, you know, fewer % of women. So the way that I did it was not that unconventional for, you know, when I grew up. I was definitely part of a generation that felt you work, you know, you get to work. You graduate from college, go to college, but when you finish college, you work. That's the thing you do. But in my case, Jordan, from that day to this, I've always loved working. I love it. It's totally exciting and interesting and intellectually stimulating to me, and I cannot imagine not doing this. It's been really important to me. And if I looked at the 21 or 22-year-old version of me versus me now, or let's say when I had my kids, which was later, 38, 40, and 42, I guarantee you, I personally, this isn't true of everybody, but I personally would not have been anywhere near as good a mother. I was much more selfish and less capable of giving, and, I was more of a taker, like most young people are. Not all, but most. And so I really think that the calm I've brought to motherhood, the life lessons, the wisdom, has been a boon to my children, who are calm and cool and not panickers and have a wisdom about them that I think you kind of get through osmosis and maybe some genetics. But they're in a very good place, I think, in part thanks to the fact that it's not age related for everybody, but for me, I didn't reach that place in my life until I was older. And unfortunately, it wasn't planned this way, because I didn't meet my husband until we were 35. But unfortunately, and believe me, I think about it all the time, it means that my children and I have a shorter runway together. And I hate that fact. It haunts me. I'm so grateful that I have them at all, unlike so many women who weren't this fortunate. But I hate the fact that every time we talk about their lives, I'm calculating, it's his age plus 42. That's what I'll be, when my youngest has his children. And boy, my kids better have kids young if they want me to be part of that child's life at all. If I get to be a grandparent. And it's its own special form of pain, Like, would I have traded my career building and doing the things that I love? Because I was a lawyer for the first 10 years, and then I switched to journalism. I don't know if I can say that. I didn't meet the right man until I was 35. If Doug had come into my life at 22 and I rejected him, and then we went and married different people and refound each other at 35, that would be really painful. But I don't have that regret. We didn't meet until the time I think God brought us together. And for me, that was the time. That's when I was ready. I was ready to not downshift in my career exactly, but to make compromises in my career that I hadn't been prior to that. And I was fully committed to devoting myself to motherhood in a way I never had been before. And some of it was born of the intense love that I had for my husband and still have, in which my kids were born into, this swath of like truly mad romantic love that they're products of and are immersed in every day, which is probably the best medicine for them. So I have no regrets about how I did it, but I also acknowledge it's not all roses and unicorns. There are downsides to doing it the way I did.
Can I ask you a little bit about the way that you...
The moral of the story, guys, get married. Excuse me, I apologize. Get married in your 20s. I got married in my 27, when I was 27, and I had children right away. It'll give you focus. It'll make you wealthier. It'll make you healthier. It'll give you something to look forward to. Having my children, especially my daughters, was the most incredible thing that happened to me. It completely changed me as a human being. It transformed the way I look at life. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Of course, that doesn't apply to everybody, but it applies to the majority of the population. Best of luck. Listen to these 11 laws of the universe.
Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time you give it. Shrink the deadline, shrink the task. Hofstadter's law. Everything takes longer than you expect, even when you account for Hofstadter's law. Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice what is adequately explained by carelessness or stupidity. The Pareto principle, or 80-20. Roughly 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort. The Peter principle. People get promoted until they reach a job they're bad at, and then stay there. Hicks' law. More options means slower decisions. Cut the menu, decide faster. Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it stops being a good measure. The Dunning-Kruger effect. The less you know, the more you overestimate how much you know. Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually the right one. Chesterton's fence. Don't tear something down until you understand why it was built in the first place. Brooks's law. If you add more people to a project that's already late, it's going to be even more late because we underestimate coordination costs. Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time you give it. Shrink the deadline, shrink the task. Hofstadter's law. Everything takes longer than you expect, even when you account for Hofstadter's law. Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice what is adequately explained by carelessness or stupidity. The Pareto principle, or 80-20. Roughly 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort. The Peter principle. People get promoted until they reach a job they're bad at, and then stay there. Hicks' law. More options means slower decisions. Cut the menu, decide faster. Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it stops being a good measure. The Dunning-Kruger effect. The less you know, the more you overestimate how much you know. Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually the right one. Chesterton's fence. Don't tear something down until you understand why it was built in the first place. Brooks's law. If you add more people to a project that's already late, it's going to be even more late because we underestimate coordination costs. Parkinson.
I played it twice because he was going through it pretty fast, but those are pretty powerful laws to implement in your daily habits. Use them when you can. Best of luck. Here is some really good comedy. Listen to this. It'll make you laugh, I guarantee you. It's really hard for me to find good comedy, but this is great comedy. Listen.
So you're the young man who wants to marry my daughter?
Yes, sir, I am.
I don't want my daughter living with an irresponsible man.
That's exactly why I want to take her away from you.
What's that supposed to mean?
Your daughter's been asking me for money for hair, nails, and body lotion, so I'm assuming you're not a responsible man.
So you're the young man who wants to marry my daughter?
Yes, sir.
I agree with this statement 100%. Listen.
I just had this thought. I was thinking about people who are like genius level smart. And I was thinking about how lonely they probably feel all of the time because nobody understands them and nobody knows what they're talking about. It's like, that must suck to be that smart. It's low-key a privilege to be an idiot. I just had this thought. I was thinking about people.
It's certainly a privilege to be an idiot. I remember when I was an idiot in my high school days and college days, and I was so like loving life. Not that I don't now, but I do it in a very cautious way. But back then I was basically twin turbo. I was like just loving on everything. Just want to go do this, want to do that. Always laughing, always dancing. I still do all of this, but I do maybe less than 0.1% compared to what I used to be. I used to be like twin turbo, like always let's go, let's go, let's go. But low key, if you're stupid, you are very lucky. There's actually privilege of being stupid. But if you give me the option to go back to my 20s and be stupid again, I won't take it. I love the wisdom that I accumulated over the years, and I don't know, leave your thoughts below. Let me know what you think. I know it's comical, but it's true. I love what this Irish guy says because I actually love it that way. Listen to this.
Always remember, if you're going to be in love with a woman, do not seek love from her like you would seek love from your own mother. Alternatively, love her like you are her father. Nobody understands this. Always remember, if you're going to be in love with a woman, do not seek love from her like you would seek love from your own mother. Alternatively, love her like you are her father. Nobody understands this. Always remember, if you're going to be in love...
That statement is so true. When you love her that much, you want to love her like her father. A good father, of course. There's dickheads fathers out there. There's bad fathers, bad mothers, bad brothers, bad sisters. But anyway, I've always, when I used to date, I felt like I have to protect that person that I'm with. Like whether it's physically, whether it's their feelings, whether it's just, I'm very gentle. Like I hold them like you're holding an egg and you don't want to break it. I know how fragile women are. They're very emotional creatures, and I have to be very, very, very careful with them. Sometimes shit kind of like, I step out of line every now and then, maybe once a year or twice a year, but I explain myself and I apologize and I kind of super glue things back up. Try that. Next time you go on a date or be in a relationship, treat your girlfriend like you're her father. And believe me, she will love you and you will love yourself. And you'll be happy and she'll be happy. And that's the most important thing. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Listen to this. It's so beautiful.
When you were alone, and you actually felt alone, you didn't let it overcome your mind. You didn't let it consume your willingness to try again. You didn't give up, and you didn't lose hope. You may not be able to control everything that happens in life, but what you can do is throw away the stress of not being perfect. You were never supposed to be anything more than who you wanted to be. When you...
So beautiful. That's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed it. I have to do my 3-hour cardio, but I want to play this. It's a different perspective. It's completely going opposite direction. Listen, guys, this is for the boys and the men out there.
I'm probably going to get cancelled for this, but fuck it, I'm going to say it anyway. The day that I stopped listening to the fucking words coming out of a woman's mouth is the day that my life changed for the better. Do you ever notice every time your woman says she wants something and you give it to her, everything gets fucked up? That's because it's counterintuitive. What she said she wanted is not what she actually wants. And this is why you're having problems. What this boils down to, my brothers, is passing women's fucking tests so you can get a high level of respect and attraction. This is why you need to understand primal nature of women. This is why you need to understand fucking frame. This is why the fact that you don't understand this is why you're losing the game. If you want to master this shit once and for fucking all, DM me the word reset and I will fucking show you. I'm probably going to get cancelled for this, but fuck it, I'm going to say it anyway.
That's the European perspective, or maybe that guy's perspective. He could be from Scotland, I don't know. Irish. I don't think he's English, because I have British cousins and they don't talk like that. He sounds like Irish or Scottish, maybe. One of the two. But there's some truth to what he's saying. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. If you reach the age 50 or 70 and you manage to have one good friend, you have achieved the fucking impossible. Having friends anymore, it's like they're either afraid or transactional or opportunity. There's always something. It's always tit for tat. I give you, you give me. I said, you said. Everything has to be transactional. The older you get, the less friends you're gonna have. It's pretty sad, but the human race is very complex. I hope you'll be able to have at least 2 friends. This way, if you get bored with one, you can hang out with the other. Best of luck. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Hey guys, I want you to listen to the first couple minutes of this, and I want to comment. I want to make an observation, something I just crossed my mind. I want to share it with you.
You are sitting in a crowded coffee shop, surrounded by dozens of people, yet you feel completely invisible. The barista calls out orders in a mechanical rhythm. Customers tap frantically on keyboards. Conversations buzz around you like background noise from a movie you are not part of. Your phone buzzes with notifications from social media, showing you hundreds of connections, but none of them feel real. You scroll through endless feeds of other people's lives, each post a carefully curated window into experiences you are not part of, relationships you do not share, moments of joy that seem to exist in a parallel universe where connection comes easily. A couple at the next table laughs together over shared memories while you sit alone, pretending to be busy, pretending this solitude is a choice rather than a sentence. This is not just your story. This is the story of millions of people living in what should be the most connected era in human history. We carry devices that can instantly link us to anyone on the planet, yet we have never felt more alone. We live in cities with millions of neighbors, apartment buildings where hundreds of people sleep within yards of each other, yet we do not know the names of the people who live next door, have never shared a meal with them, would not recognize them if we passed them on the street. Something has gone terribly wrong with the human experience of connection. What we are witnessing is not simply a social trend, a temporary cultural shift that will correct itself with time, or the natural growing pains of technological progress. 1 in 6 people worldwide is affected by loneliness, with significant impacts on health and well-being. This represents nearly 1.5 billion human beings walking through their daily lives carrying the weight of profound isolation, feeling fundamentally disconnected from the web of relationships that should give life, meaning, and purpose. But here is what makes this crisis even more devastating, what transforms it from a social problem into an existential emergency. Loneliness is linked to an estimated 100 deaths every hour.
I'm going to stop right there. Loneliness is related to 100 deaths every hour. Loneliness is an epidemic, or is it a pandemic? I don't know. That's happening to us right now, even though we live in a very connected world, but yet we're very isolated, we're very alone. People are afraid to communicate with one another. People are afraid to even have a conversation or be present with one another. But the main reason I'm doing this video, I want to focus on this one point and one point only. When they contributed longevity in Japan, which is one of the blue zone, Italy is one of the blue zones also. But when they did further study on the longevity, the blue zones are areas where people tend to live over 90. And at first, when they did the study, they thought because of their exercise and their dieting, they thought that's what contribute for longevity. They tend to live longer. But upon further studies, they found out it's because of the community. So by having a community around you, by having a child, by having a neighbor, by having a son that's checking on you, for even as a, excuse me, I apologize. As an elderly parent, I'm getting ready to go visit my mother, but I want to, that idea was in my head and I just want to put it out and share it with you guys. The moral of the story here, this video is focused on one thing only. In order for us to live longer, we need community. We need connection. We're not solitary creatures. We're not meant to live alone. We're not tigers. Tigers and certain cats they love to live alone because they're designed that way. They're solitary creatures. But the moral of the story is, if you listen further onto that video over there, he explained how there's hundreds of people or millions of people dying every year. Millions of people dying every year globally because of loneliness. It's a real illness. It actually affects a lot of people. Now that we're connected in the information world, we're actually lonelier than we've ever been in our life, which is really sad. It's fucking crazy what's happening. I can't believe how disconnected people are. They say people that are, what do you call the young people, the Gen Z or whatever, like some of them in their 30s and they never had a date. They never had a girlfriend. That's like unheard of. I'm 57 years old, and when I was in my teens, going out on a date was a simple thing to do. You just walk up to a girl and have a nice conversation, ask her to dance, buy her a drink, and just be a gentleman, and we move on, and things were natural and normal. But now it seems like people are further and further to being torn apart or being drifting away. They're afraid of each other. It's really, really sad what's happening in society, and I'm thinking it's I'm seeing that it's getting worse and worse every single day, and I don't know what the solution is to disconnect from electronic and social media, which is not easy to do for me, not easy to do for you, for everybody else. It's like a drug. It's like doing cocaine or whatever. I've never done any drugs in my life, but it's like doing something very addictive. But longevity, people that tend to live over 90, they did it because they have a community. They have people to talk to. They have somebody they can have a meaningful relationship, a meaningful conversation with, and being present with them, and being able to. Loneliness comes from inability to have a conversation with people, not by being alone. He can be surrounded by 10,000 people, but if he cannot really have a true conversation with someone, speak about what you feel about, or what you like, what you dislike, how was your day, how did your day go, and you basically have the same conversation with the individual sitting in front of you, whether it's a child or an adult, male, female. And that's what actually helps our nervous system to be at an equilibrium and balanced, and that's what allows us to fight diseases and illnesses. A lot of the illnesses are caused by stress. 85% of the illnesses in the world is caused by stress. And what's happening right now, we live in a world that's very stressful, and the stress is adding by people are not communicating and drifting away from each other. I hope this makes sense. I listen to this podcast. I like to listen to philosophy when I go to bed, and it was fascinating. And I just happened to, that thought across my mind. I want to share it with you. I hope you guys enjoyed today's post. If you have any questions or any comments, leave them below. I'd like to see what your thoughts are. And we live in a really fucked up world right now. Nobody wants to talk to anybody, and everybody's afraid of everybody, and everybody's angry at everybody. I'm the exact opposite. I love everybody. I was listening to Dr. Peterson. He said, when you are a trusting person, it's a form of courage. I talk to everybody, and I say hello to everybody, and I love everybody. But it seems like on the other end, people are like scared cats. They're always like, whoa, I gotta go. Everybody's so fidgety. Fuck you. I hate you. I don't like you. People are waiting for a reason to not like you. I don't know what's happening with people anymore. They're on edge. Everyone's on edge. It's really sad. It breaks my heart to see a humanity dwindle to this shit that we're in right now. Leave your comments below. Love you guys. Have a great day. Listen to this. It's extremely powerful.
Say that again, Jay. Weak people notice other people's mistakes and laugh. Strong people notice other people's mistakes and learn. Weak people talk about other people's problems to feel better. Strong people talk about other people's problems to become better. Weak people gossip about others to build fake connections. Strong people express vulnerability to build real ones. And this one's the kicker that you were just talking about. Weak people envy people ahead of them. Strong people study people ahead of them. And the interesting thing is, both people are looking at the same thing, but they're seeing different things. Because no one is a weak or strong person. It's just what you focus on. Say that again.
I would like to add to this. It's not what you focus on. It's beside what you of course it's what you focus on. It's also, if your heart is beautiful and pure, you only see beautiful and pure. But if your heart is dark and evil, you only see dark and evil. I made a video a couple of days ago talking about be careful not to hang out or be around unsecure people. It was actually something that either Nietzsche or Dostoevsky, one of the philosophers, pointed out, because those people that are insecure, they actually, instead of when you're trying to help them, they end up destroying you because you're wasting so much energy on them, and instead of you helping them, they actually envy you. So it's, I don't know how he explained it, but I hope that makes sense. Because I was the kind of guy that always give. But in my adult years, I start watching people. I don't mind giving, but after so many decades, it's eventually enough is enough. And you your circle kind of shrinks down to the ones that really charge your battery and the one that you charge their battery. I charge everybody else's battery around me naturally because this is who I am. But when I feel exhaustion from being with someone, which is very rare, I know I need to get away from that person. I hope this helps. Leave your comments below. I remember as a child, my father used to use baking soda quite often. I don't know if he used it as a drink or whatever, but this lady's got something that reminded me of it. Let's listen.
This is what baking soda does to your belly fat. Start with a full glass of warm water and 1 spoon of baking soda. Squeeze half a lemon in there, then add a pinch of salt and stir it well. Watch how it starts to fizz right away. Drink it slow on an empty stomach every morning. This combination and helps your belly finally let go of what has been sitting there for years. If you want one more ingredient to make it even more effective, comment T and I will send it to you. Follow me or I will not be able to reach you.
So I guess the claim here is baking soda and lemon stir together in water allow you to burn fat. So not that I have that problem, but I'll try it. I hope I don't get too skinny. So leave your comments below. Let me know if you actually gonna try this, and if you try it, get back with me with results. I would love to hear whether it's an effective method or not. This is something I learned in my adult years. I didn't understand it when I was younger, but I do understand it now and I agree with it 100%. Listen.
According to psychology, if a man has these 5 traits, you're looking at a genuinely good man, and they're rarer than you think. First, he's almost always alone. Not because he hates people, but because he discovered something most never will. Second, he overthinks everything. Life, people, mistakes, heartbreak. His mind never stops analyzing. He feels everything more deeply than others notice, replaying moments others forget instantly. Third, he reads people like open books. One look, one sentence, and he's already decoded your intentions. And most important, he has suffered more than you could imagine. Instead of seeking revenge, he chose silence. Instead of closing off, he kept his heart open. If this is you, you're built different. According to psychology,
not too many people come out on the other end and still continue to be positive. Some people, when they are hurt and they become very angry and they become devils at the end because they've been hurt so much. Where other people, they can endure the pain and they can still have a soft heart and beautiful heart. Perhaps they withdraw themselves from society or from what doesn't benefit them, but they still maintain a beautiful heart. And I see myself to be that way. My mother always admires me. She's like, I want to be like you. But it takes a lot of work. I challenge myself every day. I actually say to myself, don't be a hypocrite, be centered, be balanced, and be fair. I speak to myself very positive, and I want to be around positive people. Leave your thoughts and your comments below. Let me know what you think. Be careful how you speak to yourself.
Watch your thoughts, because they will become your words. Watch your words, because they will become your action. Watch your actions, because they will become your behavior. Watch your behavior, because they will become your habits. Watch your habits, because it will become your character. Watch the character, because it will become your destiny. Watch your thoughts.
100% true. You need to watch yourself like you're watching a stranger. Dr. Peterson said one time, he said, you need to take care of yourself like you're taking care of a family member, perhaps a mother or a father or a sibling. And if you were taking care of that family member, like say a mother, would you do that to her? Would you do that to your mother? Of course you wouldn't. So treat yourself and speak to yourself in a positive manner, and your life will change. It's mindset. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. I agree with this statement 100%.
The more you grow, the less you want. Not less ambition, but less clutter, less noise, less distraction. The things that once seemed urgent, the possessions, the endless chasing, suddenly feel heavy, almost meaningless. You begin to crave simplicity, quiet mornings, gentle routines, moments that feed the soul, not the ego. And then you realize, real wealth has nothing to do with what you hold. It's the peace you carry inside. The more
simplicity is the sign of maturity. Like Charlie Munger said, for those of you that don't know Charlie Munger, he's Warren Buffett partner. He just passed recently, and on his grave it says, I hope I was useful. But Charlie Munger always said invert, which means don't add, subtract. That's what makes you happy, because the more you add, the more problem you create. Simplicity is a sign of maturity. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Another powerful advice from Dr. Peterson.
You can have what you want in 5 years, but there's 2 conditions. You have to know what it is, and you have to aim at it. Figure out what you want. Write it down. Figure out what you could do to start moving towards that. Okay. Do that with your family relationships. Do that with your friendships. Do that with your career. Do that with your education. Think about your misuse of alcohol and drugs and other things that might drag you down. Develop a vision, and you have to do that in dialogue with yourself, right? It's like, if I could have what I wanted, what would satisfy me? And you might think, well, I could never get that. And I could say, well, maybe not, but I'll tell you one thing, man. You can move towards it. Almost all the pleasure is in the moving toward. You can have what you want.
It's a simple statement, but basically, if you don't try, you'll never know. You have to try. Try. If you want that relationship, if you want that money, if you want that six-pack, just try. Once you, like the one saying says, what's in motion stays in motion, or something. A body in motion stays in motion. So once you take the first step, moving toward that thing that you desire, or the thing that you fancy, eventually it becomes reality. Leave your comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Love you all, by the way. I want to read this statement to you guys. It's very powerful. Having too much empathy is dangerous. You start understanding why people hurt you, instead of asking yourself why you kept allowing it. Empathy is beautiful, but only with boundaries. Make it powerful. You can have empathy, but also have boundaries. When people start taking advantage of, and you're constantly giving and giving and giving, and you don't get anything in return, or you don't see improvement on their end, you're pouring into a broken glass. It's just all your energy's going in and out. It's not, you're not seeing any results. Let me read that to you one more time. Having too much empathy is dangerous. You start understanding why people hurt you, instead of asking yourself why you kept on allowing it. Empathy is beautiful, but only boundaries make it beautiful. Empathy is beautiful, but only boundaries make it powerful. Leave your comments below. Here's a tricky advice, but very effective. I've owned my business for over 2 decades, and I understand what that means. Listen,
Never be friends with your clients. I know it sounds harsh, and it took me years to figure that out. When I was younger, I got too close with clients. I'd talk to them like friends, get casual, until there was no line left between work and friendship. And that's when the problem started. They'd pile on extra work, and I'd just do it. They'd pay late, and I'd stay quiet. The nicer things got, the more they asked for, and the less they respected the work. Friendship didn't make them a better client. It made them worse. Be warm, be kind, but keep it professional. Because the goal is not to become the client's favorite person. The goal is to become the person they take seriously. Never be friends.
So powerful and so true. You cannot be friends with your children, and you cannot be friends with your client, and you cannot be friends with your employees, because familiarity breed contempt. I think I said that right. I hope I did. You have to know when to set boundaries. A child needs to know. When I speak to my children, I always let them know I am your father. I'm not your college friend. I'm not your girlfriend. I'm not your boyfriend. I'm not your buddy. I am your father. Perhaps we could have a little bit of humor and joke around a little bit, but there's always has to be boundaries to know that I am your father and you speak to me in that manner. The same thing goes to that advice. You cannot be friends with your clients. It's just impossible, because the respect gradually fades away. Leave your comments below. This is really beautiful. Listen, Alan Watts.
You see, the more at peace you become, the less you tolerate chaos. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop showing up in places that disturb your calm. You start choosing silence over proving your point, distance over forced connection. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. You see, the more...
So true. It's not distance, it's alignment. You choose peace over anything else. Anything that disturbs your peace, you eliminate. You delete. Leave your comments below. This is very powerful. Listen to this.
What if laziness is a habit of thinking about the cost of things or the effort instead of thinking about the payoff? I'm going to say it again to get a few more heads to explode. What if laziness is nothing but a habit of thinking about the effort instead of thinking about the outcome? What if you could reverse laziness by simply developing a habit of thinking more about the, let's say, the delicious food that you would like to enjoy instead of how long it would take you to get up and go get it? Am I ambitious, or do I simply have a thinking habit which produces dopamine?
Very clever approach. And if you change that mindset, it changes everything. You tell your mind what to do. You are the boss. You either control your mind or somebody else is going to control it for you. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. I've talked about this before, but I want to bring it up again because I lost a brother and a father, and it transforms you as a human being. Listen to this.
Lots of teenagers now don't drink at all.
That's the wrong one. Hang on. Let me pause it. There we go.
That's why they protect their energy harder. Because they know what it feels like to lose pieces of themselves. If you truly understand this, drop 100. Because you show the world how deeply loss changes a person. Very, very careful with people who have lost parents.
It's so true. When you lose a parent or a sibling, it really changes you as a human being. Some people are stronger than others, and they're able to cope with reality, but on the surface you might appear stable and centered, but internally you're different. I hope you never have to experience that. Love you all. Leave your comments below. Let me know if you guys agree with this statement.
Actually have less empathy. The more you go through, the less empathy you have. You would think that because you've been through that stuff, you would have more empathy. But as you rise through the ranks, you actually have less empathy because you've been through it, you've overcome it, and you kind of look at people like, can you please get it together? The more you...
Do you think the more you go through, the less empathy you have? I don't know. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think.